History is a tapestry woven with threads of ambition, conquest, and the relentless pursuit of power. It's a chronicle filled with impossible dreams, audacious goals that defy logic and reason. And it's also the story of the people who chase them, those individuals and empires who dare to reach for the seemingly unattainable, driven by a vision that consumes them. One such figure was Genghis Khan, a name synonymous with conquest, who forged the vast Mongol Empire, a dominion unparalleled in its sheer size and scope. This empire stretched from the eastern reaches of China, across the vast Eurasian landmass, all the way to the heart of Europe, fueled by the relentless ambition of its warriors, who believed with unwavering conviction that they were destined to rule the world, to bring all nations under their banner. Yet amidst this sprawling empire, one place, an island shrouded in mist and legend, remained unconquered. Japan, a proud and fiercely independent island nation, a land of samurai, steeped in tradition and honor. Separated from the mainland by a treacherous and often unforgiving sea, a natural barrier that had, for centuries, protected it from outside forces. To the Mongols, ever hungry for expansion, Japan represented the final prize, a jewel in the crown of their global dominion. The last crucial piece needed to complete their grand design, to solidify their claim as rulers of the world. And so, the stage was set for a clash of civilizations, a confrontation between the world's greatest army, a force that had swept across continents versus a small but fiercely defiant nation, an island of warriors ready to defend their home at any cost. This is the story of what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object, a collision of cultures, of ideologies, and of military might. It's a tale of courage, resilience, and ultimately a testament to how the smallest things, the most unforeseen circumstances, can dramatically alter the course of history. Genghis Khan united the Mongol tribes, forging a disciplined nation from chaos. His legacy lived on through his grandson, Kublai Khan, who ruled China and dreamed of adding Japan to his empire. Kublai sent messengers demanding Japan's surrender, but the Japanese, guided by their emperor and the samurai code of Bushido, refused. For the samurai, surrender was unthinkable, an insult to their honor and ancestors. The Mongols saw this as defiance, the Japanese saw it as duty. Kublai Khan could not ignore the challenge. The world's largest empire was about to collide with a nation that would not bow. War was inevitable. Furious at Japan's refusal to submit and pay tribute, Kublai Khan, the great Khan of the Mongol Empire, resolved to bring the island nation to its knees. He saw their defiance as a personal affront, a challenge to his authority and the might of his vast empire. And so he launched a massive invasion in 1274, a campaign of conquest designed to crush the Japanese resistance and incorporate their lands into his ever-expanding domain. The invasion force was a sight to behold. Hundreds of ships, a vast armada stretching across the horizon, carrying tens of thousands of soldiers, a mix of Mongol warriors, Korean conscripts, and Chinese infantry, all united under the banner of the Great Khan, ready to wage war on the shores of Japan. The Mongols brought new weapons, a terrifying arsenal unlike anything the Japanese had ever encountered. Among these were gunpowder bombs, primitive yet devastating explosives that could sow chaos and fear among the enemy ranks. They also employed poisoned arrows, a cruel and insidious tactic designed to inflict maximum casualties and spread disease among the Japanese defenders. The Mongol army was renowned for its coordinated tactics, its ability to maneuver and strike with speed and precision, overwhelming their enemies with disciplined formations and relentless assaults. These tactics overwhelmed the samurai's traditional one-on-one duels, a style of combat that emphasized individual skill and honor. The samurai, used to honorable combat where warriors faced each other with respect and followed strict codes of conduct, were shocked by the Mongols' relentless group attacks, their willingness to swarm and overwhelm individual opponents without regard for honor or tradition. Still, they fought fiercely on the beaches of Hakata Bay, meeting the invaders head-on with courage and determination. They were defending their homeland with skill and courage, knowing that the fate of Japan rested on their shoulders. For a day, the samurai held the line, repelling wave after wave of Mongol attacks. But the Mongols' firepower was devastating, their gunpowder weapons causing explosions and chaos that disrupted the samurai formations. As night fell, the Mongols retreated to their ships, seeking respite from the fierce fighting. They were surprised by the resistance, the tenacity and skill of the samurai warriors. The Japanese spirit was unbroken, their resolve to defend their homeland unwavering. The Mongols had won the beach, securing a foothold on Japanese soil. But they had not won the war. The first invasion ended in stalemate, a bloody and inconclusive clash that left both sides exhausted. But both sides knew the fight was far from over, that this was merely the first act in a long and brutal struggle for control of Japan. Japan braced for the Mongols' return, knowing that the Great Khan would not be deterred by a single setback. The samurai, bound by Bushido, became the heart of Japan's defense. After the first invasion, Japan united like never before. Under the shogunate, they built a massive stone wall along Hakata Bay, an unbreakable barrier against future attacks. The wall was more than stone, it was a symbol of national resolve. Everyone contributed, from lords to peasants. Japan was no longer just a collection of clans, it was a nation ready to stand together. The next Mongol invasion would face a fortress, not just warriors. Kublai Khan, the grandson of Genghis Khan, was not a man easily deterred. The sting of defeat in his first attempt to invade Japan only fueled his ambition. He refused to accept defeat, his resolve hardening with each passing day. The idea of Japan slipping from his grasp was simply unacceptable. For 7 long years, he meticulously prepared a second invasion. This wasn't just a matter of pride, it was about solidifying his power and expanding his empire. Resources were poured into shipbuilding, weapon crafting, and the recruitment of soldiers from across his vast domain. This new army was bigger, stronger, and seemingly unstoppable. It was a testament to the Khan's unwavering will and the sheer might of the Mongol Empire. He envisioned a swift and decisive victory, crushing any resistance in its path. In 1281, 2 massive fleets, dwarfing anything seen before, set sail from different points along the Chinese coast, converging on Japan. The scale of this operation was unprecedented, a logistical marvel designed to overwhelm the island nation. The armada consisted of nearly 4,500 ships and carried an estimated 140,000 men, a diverse force of Mongols, Chinese, and Koreans, all united under the banner of Kublai Khan. Each ship was laden with supplies, weapons, and the unwavering expectation of conquest. It was the largest armada the world had ever seen, a floating city of warriors and war machines poised to descend upon Japan and reshape its destiny. The horizon disappeared beneath a sea of sails, a terrifying spectacle of imperial ambition. But the Japanese were ready. They had learned from the previous invasion, and had spent years preparing for this inevitable rematch. The stone wall, built along the coastline of Hakata Bay, blocked the Mongols' landing, forcing them to reconsider their strategy. This formidable barrier was a symbol of Japanese resilience and their determination to defend their homeland. The wall forced them to fight from their ships or in small, vulnerable groups, making them easy targets for the well-prepared Japanese defenders. The Mongols' numerical advantage was negated by the strategic disadvantage of fighting from the sea. The samurai, now fighting from behind fortifications, unleashed a relentless barrage of arrows and other projectiles, decimating the Mongol ranks. Their disciplined defense and unwavering courage proved to be a formidable obstacle. They launched daring raids and nighttime attacks, harassing the Mongol fleet and disrupting their supply lines. These guerrilla tactics kept the invaders on edge, preventing them from establishing a secure foothold. The constant pressure and lack of progress began wearing down the invaders, both physically and mentally. The initial confidence of the Mongol warriors slowly eroded as they faced relentless resistance. The Mongols trapped on their ships became increasingly vulnerable to the elements and the spread of disease. The cramped conditions and lack of sanitation created a breeding ground for illness. Disease spread rapidly through the fleet, and dwindling supplies further weakened the already demoralized soldiers. Scurvy and dysentery ravaged the ranks, turning the once mighty army into a shadow of its former self. Weeks dragged on, turning into months, with no sign of a breakthrough. The siege stretched on, testing the limits of both the invaders and the defenders. To make matters worse for the Mongols, the main fleet from China, carrying vital reinforcements and supplies, was delayed by adverse weather conditions. This further isolated the invasion force and compounded their problems. The Mongol army was stuck in a stalemate, their morale crumbling under the weight of disease, dwindling supplies, and relentless Japanese resistance. The dream of conquest was slowly turning into a nightmare of attrition. The world's greatest force, once thought invincible, was stalled, unable to break through the Japanese defenses. The mighty Mongol war machine had ground to a halt. The seemingly unstoppable Mongol war machine was halted by a wall, a determined people, and the strategic brilliance of the Japanese defenders. Then, Just as the situation seemed to hang in the balance, nature intervened in a dramatic and decisive way. In August 1281, as the Mongol fleets gathered for a final assault, the skies darkened. A massive typhoon struck, smashing ships together and against the shore. For 2 days, wind and waves destroyed the Mongol armada. When the storm cleared, thousands of ships were gone, tens of thousands drowned. Survivors were easily captured or killed by the samurai. The Mongol dream of conquering Japan was obliterated, not by swords, but by the power of nature. The Japanese called the storm kamikaze, the divine wind, believing their gods had protected them. The Mongols never returned. Japan's identity as an unconquerable nation was sealed. The failed Mongol invasions teach us about the limits of power. The world's mightiest empire was stopped by courage, unity, and the unpredictable force of nature. Kublai Khan could command armies, but not the wind. The samurai's bravery and Japan's wall mattered, but the divine wind delivered the final blow. This story shaped Japan's sense of destiny and pride for centuries. It reminds us that some challenges can't be overcome by strength alone. History turns on moments of resistance, preparation, and humility. What can we learn from the wind that changed history?